these are just for fun. So please bear with me and don't be angry with me because they're a little bit saucy. So men are driven by ego. Here's 5 things never to say to a guy.
Thank you so much for tuning into Second Act TV. I want to welcome Robert Manni back to Second Act, the author of The Guys Guide to Love and host of Guys Guy Radio, which is now like all over the world. Robert just got picked up by a big channel. Robert, thanks so much for being here again.
My pleasure. Thanks. Look for us now on UK Health Radio. It's a digital radio station and it's all over the world.
Fantastic. I'm happy for you. And so congratulations. I have a fun topic, I think, for us today. We recently did a video, we meaning Joni and I, on things to never say to a woman. It was pretty funny. And I've done a couple others, just on these communication issues that are humorous, but also deep, because there's a reason, why these things are written. And I ran across an article, like I usually do, on the top things not to say to a guy. And I thought, well, who better to comment on this than our Guys Guy? So number 1, Robert, but a woman should never say to a guy in the dating process, or certainly not on the first date, I'm fiercely independent.
Well, I think there's some good news and some not so good news there. I think the word independent is great, and you don't have to say it, tell it. You need to show that. And fierce is a scary word sometimes if you've just met somebody. So if you say fiercely independent, it almost sounds like you don't want to have a committed partnership ever, that for whatever reason. So it's a little bit of it gives pause for a guy.
Yeah. Well, and he says here that, fiercely, strongly, totally, wildly independent, that apparently that's why it's brought out that there's a lot of women who will make a big point of being totally, independent. And that in a sense, what you're telling the guys that you don't need them, and a guy wants to be needed. So he's not likely to pursue you. Would you agree with that?
Somewhat, yeah. It's probably not the best thing to say if you wanted to get to know somebody. If you are interested in a relationship, saying you're fiercely independent kind of sends a mixed signal there. So I think fiercely is the polarizing word there. I think it's guys like women to be independent, so they're not going to be needy, but there's a difference between being needy and independent. And I think independent is a good thing, and most guys would welcome that.
Yeah, good point, Robert. This is one I love. I need to know what we are, meaning defining, the relationship, to have that DTR talk, that can really, that obviously if the guy's only after sex, yeah, you need to bring that up right away. But if you do want to pursue a relationship, this is something that just a line he says here that men don't want to hear too soon.
Yeah, it's always feels like the quote unquote the talk. And if things are going well, you don't really need to have that conversation. If there's an issue and you need to bring up the issue, it's probably better to talk about the issue, which is part of the bigger issue, which is where are we? But if you get right into like where are we with this, it's tricky. And I don't think you want to risk your relationship if it's growing by needing a specific definition of it, because if it's love and it's opening up and it's an unfolding and there's some mystery to it, that's all good. Do you have to put the flag into the ground and say this is where we are? I could see at a certain point where you say we're just going to be exclusive. I get that, and that's a question then. Do you want to be exclusive? But that's different than like what is this thing? Because it's like, what do you want it to be? There's a lot of different ways to approach that and circle it and look at it and observe it and be it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And you brought up a point that I was going to bring up, and that is exclusive. There's a difference between defining the relationship and being exclusive. To me, there is. And I think it's good advice, especially for women, that before you have sex, maybe, and this is not out of a moral, religious, or anything else, but after sex, we tend to bond with you. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's just a physical fact. So if you don't want him sleeping with somebody else, or I would like to know that we're exclusive. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And so, but we need to be sensitized to the fact that once we kind of make it with a woman, that there's going to be a bond there, and you don't want to be hurtful and just say, "Oh, we've been there, done that," and take it for granted.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess the advice is exclusive. Yes, it's good to define that, but let's not get down further down the road than you need to. Certainly not too early. Uh, can we turn the lights off? Apparently, that's a big turn off for men.
No, I think everybody's different. I can't speak for other guys. If you want to turn the lights off, turn the lights off. You can't get, I mean, you can run, but you can't hide type of thing. If you're in the bedroom, like, okay, lights on. I can see, I don't want bright lights on either. Like, let's make it romantic. So I think there's some middle ground there between pitch black, where you're groping around in the dark, and then the bright lights. How about some candles? How about some soft music? Like
Yeah,
some incense, whatever.
I think what they were pointing out is don't bring insecurities into the bedroom, which of course lots of women, well, lots of men do too. Uh, but especially the whole body image and all this after, as we get older, not that
Sure, sure, sure.
for younger people, but that the whole lights on, lights off is, we actually did a video on that too. I'll link to it, but apparently it's big enough of an issue to be covered in an article for advice to women. I love the next one here too. My ex was such an asshole.
Well, I don't, it may be true, but I don't think you want to refer to him because it's a reference. You were with the guy. So what does that make you? I mean, you could have been very loving and he turned into an asshole. You didn't know. But at a certain point, you were buying into him and you had a relationship. So I think we need to be careful how we talk about our exes and also keep that talk to a minimum and keep it in the positive, and keep it light when we talk about our exes, because the other person is going to always have, like, they'll start thinking, and you don't know what they're going to think, and they could take it the right way or the wrong way. And inevitably, people are always focused on themselves. So when they hear that, they're going to think like, oh, she's going to talk about me, like called me an asshole too. You don't know. So why go there? There's no upside to that.
No, I agree. I agree. And that actually leads right into the next point that when you say things like, oh, men are all the same. And we certainly hear that in our comments all the time, but that is not something that should be brought into on a date. Or, I mean, I agree that if I hear all women are the same, immediate turn off.
Of course, who wants to be lumped in with every behavior of everybody else of your sex? So I think it goes for men and it goes for women. So be careful when you make these generalizations, because if you don't like men, because it sounds like it's being stated in a derogatory sense. What are you doing with me? That's
Mhm.
what I would ask myself.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all the same. Well, so why am I here? You can go with Larry or Curly or Mo.
the it's so true because obviously not everybody's the same, and when you
Right.
make statements like that, you're really showing not ignorance, maybe not the right word, but certainly insecurity or something that you need to work on. Something that is what
Yes.
it says to me, and it's a
Mhm.
negative expression, and you're going to keep attracting negative people into your life.
I agree. What you put out there comes back to you.
The here's another one. Maybe women actually do say this. Men always flake on me. Why would you say something like that? Have you heard that?
I have not heard that. No, that's kind of a loser statement, to be honest with you. And I say that with empathy, but I would strongly advise not to say that to a man, because he's going to think, well, I guess I'm a guy, so maybe I'll flake on you too, because you're flakeable
Yeah.
because you seem to accept it.
Well, it says here that imagine if he told you that girls never answer his calls after a date. It's like,
Mm,
oh, well, what's wrong with this guy? So yeah, I mean, that's just such a self-deprecating statement. I was
right.
surprised to see it in here, but apparently, and similar here. I'm so lucky you chose to date me. You know. Are you
Wow,
really?
that's desperate. That's desperate. So, and then you can expect to be taken advantage of
Yeah.
that evening. Let me
Yeah.
show you how lucky you really are.
I don't know. I guess that's part of an insecure person, woman
Yeah.
in this case, to make, yeah, don't make statements like, if you do, or it's not a
No.
compliment. It really doesn't come across as a compliment. It comes across as you being, well, maybe needy, certainly not secure. Uh, there's one other one here. I'm going to call it a bonus one. I wasn't going to bring this up, but this was just, I could never date a guy with a small penis. That makes me do an advice article.
Well, I have my own list that I'm going to share with you after this one, but I actually had somebody say something like that to me on a Match.com date, that she wasn't sure if it would work out because her ex had a big penis. Now, she didn't know anything about me one way or the other. So I was kind of at a loss for words, which is rare for me. And because you don't want to sound defensive and you don't want to sound arrogant. So I was just like, what? So that one I wouldn't recommend because it can go in a lot of directions, none of them good.
Now that just surprises me. Again, this is written by a man. Obviously, he's heard this from other men. And God, if you're out there saying stuff like that, please don't. That's horrible. That makes all of us look bad. Well, Robert, let me throw it over to you. What are some Robert Manni tips? What some guys
Well,
what not
let's
to.
put it this way, and these are just for fun. So please bear with me and don't be angry with me because they're a little bit saucy. So men are driven by ego,
Mhm.
and they're particularly driven by ego when it comes to their sexual prowess. So here's 5 things never to say to a guy. Is it in yet? The professor always went all night.
You've actually heard this?
I heard that one. Yeah. Uh,
No.
yeah. That's all right. Maybe we can try again another time.
Yeah.
um, was
Well,
that?
let me ask you something on that though. I think I might have even said that sometimes. How do you handle that? How is that best handled?
You know what? You got to just be empathetic. What you say at that point, maybe you don't have to say anything. You
Mm-hmm.
just chill out.
Yeah.
Let's just chill out.
Yeah.
No worries. Let's just chill out. And I think something like that it takes the elephant out of the room by the trunk, if you will. So
It's funny.
number 4, drum roll. Was
Brrr.
that it? And number 5, I'm not feeling it right now. You're a guy. Can't you guys take care of yourselves sometimes?
Women have said that to you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've thought that. Not lately. But I don't know, stuff like that just surprises me. But as I always say, there's a reason that stereotypes exist. There's a reason these kind of articles are written. There's a reason that
Right.
because it happens. This actually happened.
Right. And
So
I'm just mine are fun. These haven't all happened to me. I gave you the ones that did happen to me, but I haven't heard. I didn't hear. Is it in yet? Let's put it that way.
I was just gonna say, oh, you did. That is so funny. Of course, yeah, that's been a line that's been around for a while, but yeah.
The point is, with guys, it's ego, and the hot button for their ego with a woman is going to be sex.
There was one other article that I was going to draw from, and then I thought was just too juvenile. But one thing, and I'll ask that as my last question: that you never want to say anything or tease him about his gut. I've never quite heard that, but is that really a
Well, does any woman want to hear about her gut?
no? But I know that guys get teased about it. Well, look at that
Yeah,
beard.
you know
You have a
what?
six.
It's not going to score you any points. It's not. I mean, you're like pointing out an area that a lot of guys have to work on.
Mhm.
So if he's confident and he's working on it and he's in pretty good shape, he's going to be like, whatever. Be careful when you mention stuff like that because you have to think about, well, does my ass look big, or whatever. It's like goes both ways. So be careful when you start picking at people's physical attributes. Make sure that you're above reproach there. And you know what? Nobody is.
Yeah, no, exactly. And again, I was just surprised to see that was worthy to point out. So I wanted
Mhm.
to bring it up. Robert, it's always so much fun talking with you. As usual, we'll link to all of your information, to your book, to your podcast that's now all over the world, your YouTube channel that keeps
Thank
growing.
you.
And is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Well, I think in this case, for everybody, men and women, think before you speak, because once it comes out of your mouth, you can't put it back in. And if you're trying to make a relationship with somebody, you know, you want to say good things or say nothing at all.
Yeah, exactly. Robert, thank you. And I look forward to our next talk on Second Act TV. Bye bye.